Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville and an office location also too in Rogers. And joining us once again as we continue to bring more here to you from the SEC Media Day, another special guest, Brad Nessler, CBS and SEC college football announcer. Brad.
It's almost time.
That's the first thing I want to get into. We're ascended on Alabama, Hoover, SEC Media Day. What does that signify to you personally?
Just the beginning of, as my wife would say, after the 4th of July party and after 2 days of cleaning up the 4th of July party. She goes, "You're going to Hoover?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'll see you after the Army-Navy game." So, it's a good way, I think, for everybody to get fired up about football. And this is where it starts happening for me when I see all my media cohorts like you. I know that everybody's excited. The fans out there are crazy, especially on Alabama Day. You can't help but excited about football.
Brad, I overheard a conversation earlier. You've been in the play-by-play business, calling college football for about 29 years. Your partner, Gary Danielson, 30. Talk about, all the games over this 150-year period that you've had the privilege of covering, and which games stick out to you?
They asked Gary and I that, and we had some similar responses. He and I had to do a game in December of '93, I think it was, in Tokyo. And we were doing the Big Ten on ESPN. And it was one of those games at the beginning of December that was sort of a throwaway game. And it was going to be Wisconsin and Michigan State. And everybody said, well, Michigan State and Wisconsin put this together because Ohio State and Michigan, one of those two is going to win the Big Ten, go to the Rose Bowl. So let's just have the kids have a nice trip to, Japan. And so as the season rolled along, Wisconsin got better and better. Michigan State got better and better. Ohio State and Michigan sort of offset each other. And as we got closer to the end of the season, Gary and I said to our bosses, that game in Tokyo is going to mean a lot. And they said, mean a lot? Yeah, like maybe a trip to the Rose Bowl. And so they had to rethink it and think, we have to get that game on the schedule. I don't think anybody was going to do it or cover it. So we went to Tokyo. We had, for the most part, an entire crew that was Japanese. We had a sideline reporter that we never met because they would cut in and out to her in the stands, and she's speaking Japanese because we had no control over the direction of the game. We had a producer, but we had no control over the direction. So we had two guys in the booth, cameramen. They both fell asleep by halftime. So Gary and I were turning the cameras ourselves to be on camera to start the second half. It was the first ever selfie on national TV or whatever. And so Wisconsin won the game and went to the Rose Bowl. So that's just one of the fun games that we've been involved with that we look back on and think that was pretty cool. I don't know. When you've done almost 500 games, it's hard to pick out one that's better than another. The first time I did Army-Navy was really only 2 years ago, and I was pretty apprehensive because I'd never done it. And I called Vern, and I said, Vern, geez, everybody's asked me about the importance of this game and the impact of this game. I said, Vern, I've never done it. I don't know. He said, you just go ahead, do your homework, do what you always do, and you'll get it when you get there. So we went to West Point. We went to Annapolis. We were there all week. By the time the game rolled around, it snowed 6 inches in Philadelphia that day. Army comes out with their special white uniforms with gold numbers and just the word Army on the back, which put a little more pressure on us. And that was a pretty special game. But there's some other cool ones in there,
We're here at the SEC. The SEC. When you look at this upcoming season, we all know Alabama, Georgia, they're the cream of the crop. But what other storylines, Brad, will you be following throughout this
Dan did a really good job at Florida last year with a 6-win jump. We know he's not going to do another 6-win jump because he's not going to win 16 games this year. But, to see if Florida can keep improving. Same at Tennessee with Jeremy. They'll be better. I don't know if their record will indicate that, but just by recruiting and Jared Gintama getting better. Jimbo did an unbelievable job at A&M in year one.
Today it's going to be Brad Nessler, the voice of college football, in particular SEC football. He'll be you'll hear his audio throughout today's show. But I want to bring in my guy, the man behind the scenes. But see, I just said we're going to get our sponsors, and that's just being a little bit disrespectful. Let's get those guys in. First off, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, they're located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one that we always talk about, KDK's Chicken. They're down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get some of that love, and like we say, it's not your mama's. We say it's the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken. That 989 Razorback Road. And now I'm going to break it in. Jimmy Guy, what's up, my man?
Not much. I want to apologize to the listeners. We had a little audio issue this morning, so I do want to apologize. But I thank y'all for bearing with us.
But we always make adjustments, and I got the best in the business, so we're never worried about the audio. But what we are worried about is the SEC ADs, and met all with Commissioner Sankey on Monday, and not a lot came out of that. That process, Demetrius. You still yet don't know, will we have football, will we not have football? What's your take on it? I mean, are we going to have it, are we not going to have it? I mean, kids are on campus, players are going through voluntary workouts with their respective strength and conditioning programs, and the coaches are now starting to be able to get out on the field and get a feel for their players and how they move about. But, where are we at with that? Because I still think it's going to be close. It's going to be real close, but I think football may take place. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of, if you ask me.
Last week I probably would have said yes, but I'm starting to lean towards that no now. I think when you just use a little common sense, I'm not the smartest guy under the sun, but the rates of the COVID, was way higher when we shut the town down and went into isolation than it is now. But now we're trying to open things up. So I think even if you just use that as a model of if we should play or if we shouldn't, I think we shouldn't, because it's at a higher rate of everybody catching it, and it's sports. I think to a certain extent, it shouldn't be about the money. I think when we should be thinking forward. And I think we can postpone it a little bit. I'm not saying we shouldn't have the football season, but I think we should postpone it and kind of manage it in that way.
Well, they seem to think you wear a mask, we could solve this issue, but like I said, we still have a lot of information still yet to gather, and I'm like you, Demetrius. You want to make the best decision for the health and well-being of the student athlete, as well as adults and all parties involved in this situation. And so, I understand, like you said, it's about money. But we still have to make the right decision, and whatever decision that might be, I don't have the answer.
I know when we were talking before the show started, we were talking about soccer, and they did have to push back some of their games. I believe they lost a scrimmage in a couple of their first 3 or 4 games, but they didn't necessarily cancel it. They just kind of said they were going to try to reschedule and postpone it. So I think if you take that model, even with the lesser sports like a soccer, like a indoor track right now, right? I think even that, to a certain extent, they're canceling this one.
And like I said, you also look at it on the flip side, and you look at these high school men and young men and young women that are
possibly going to have to, have their seasons canceled. You're talking about millions and millions of kids that are used to practicing and playing games either Tuesday or Friday, or practicing Monday through Thursday, playing on Fridays or on the weekends. And you take all that, that time away from them. Now, there's not going to be 7-8 million jobs available. So when you give us, a 15 to 18-year-old, 17-year-old young man or a young lady a lot of time on their hands, now, it's going to go both ways. You give them a lot of time on their hands. You don't want the crime rate to go up, but that's also, too, a possibility of not having school or any athletic events at the high school level. So there's give and take in both. And like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert. But all we can do is hope that the powers that be that are making these very important decisions make the right decisions. Is where we're at. I mean, ain't that where we're at, my man?
Definitely. I think if you just use a little common sense, I think if you take the money out and you look just at the longevity of the game, because I think even though people may not have football this season, I think next year it's going to be different. A lot of people aren't even thinking about next year. These kids are going to have the rights to their names. They're going to be able to have businesses, so they can come in college with LLCs already ready. So the college landscape, as we have known it, is really gone. That's the old style. That's the old format of football. I think really when you look going forward, even after this COVID, it's going to be a different format. I think even
every conference for itself, I believe.
That was going to be my next comment. I think even when you look at these conferences after this COVID, I think the COVID sped it up. You've always heard rumors of the major Power 5 schools looking up and trying to make a super conference.
Right.
You heard the SEC wanting to make their own conference. But I think what this has really opened up to everybody's eyes is they have to really govern themselves and kind of figure out what works for them, because certain stipulations and situations don't necessarily apply to the SEC like they do other conferences. So I think even from a dollar revenue standpoint, a lot of these conferences can make more money succeeding and doing their own thing versus being in the NCAA.
See that, guys, it's football season if we do have it. It's getting close. He talks a lot more during football season, I promise you. But I tell you what, we're going to gas up at 1:30 because we got to go back to the state of Georgia. We've been spending a lot of time there, but that's only because the whole guys have spent a lot of time there. Sam and his staff have offered still yet another 2022 defensive back, Rylan Gandy, out of Beaufort, Georgia. We'll talk to RG and find out his interest level as to how Arkansas and Coach Sam Carter have really started to make the relationship better with Rylan. And then we're going to make our way back to Texas. But we're going to a school that Arkansas just picked up a young man. Frisco, Texas, where we're going to talk to 2022 offensive lineman Cole Hudson. The big fella's going to come on, and he's really feeling Coach Brad Davis and Coach Sam Pittman. We'll let him talk about it and all the things that are going into his early recruitment in the 2022 class. All that's coming up. It's on the Hill, and it's the Wednesday edition on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Games that we've been involved with that we look back on and think that was pretty cool. I don't know. When you've done almost 500 games, it's hard to pick out one that's better than another. The first time I did Army-Navy was really only 2 years ago, and I was pretty apprehensive because I'd never done it. And I called Vern, and I said, Vern, geez, everybody's asked me about the importance of this game and the impact of this game. And I said, Vern, I've never done it. I don't know. He said, you just go ahead, do your homework, do what you always do, and you'll get it when you get there. So we went to West Point. We went to Annapolis. We were there all week. By the time the game rolled around, it snowed 6 inches in Philadelphia that day. Army comes out with their special white uniforms with gold numbers and just the word Army on the back, which put a little more pressure on us. And that was a pretty special game. But there's some other cool ones in there,
The SEC. When you look at this upcoming season, we all know Alabama, Georgia, they're the cream of the crop. But what other storylines, Brad, will you be following throughout this 2019 season of SEC football?
I think probably watching the second year of some of the coaches. Dan did a really good job at Florida last year with a 6-win jump. We know he's not going to do another 6-win jump because he's not going to win 16 games this year. But, to see if Florida can keep improving. Same at Tennessee with Jeremy. They'll be better. I don't know if their record will indicate that, but just by recruiting and Jared Gintama is getting better. Jimbo did an
Welcome back to our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. As we're letting you hear audio that we were able to attain during our stay at Radio Row in last year's 2019 SEC Media Day in Hoover, Alabama. Demetrius, Arkansas has someone that just got mentioned in the Doak Walker watch list, and I think we all know who that young man is. Senior running back Raheem Boyd, it was announced today, has been put on the Doak Walker watch list. And all he did last year was rush for 1,133 yards on 184 carries for an average of 6.2 carry, which, his average of that 1,000 was fourth in the SEC. I think that's good enough for tops in the SEC. If we do have football, Demetrius, this young man, and we talked to 2022 running back Damari Austin, how he feels to stay at Georgia. Think about how Raheem's going to feel the entire conference having a bullseye on his chest with him being the lead yards per carry coming back.
I think the beauty of Raheem this year is I think Arkansas have an identity. I think these guys understand the value of what Raheem brings to the team, and they're going to definitely make sure that he has a successful year. But not only that he's not put in a position to mess his direct trajectory up. Right. I think when you look at Traylon Burks, they're going to try to make sure he becomes a weapon on offense that opens the box opens up the box for Raheem to get some big holes. So I think you're going to see a definitely more balanced offense with Kendall Browse and the offensive line.
And I think that's going to be a direct reflection of the improved offensive line. I think in a lot of their agility, and I think that the weight gain that you're going to start to see take place with that football team. Sam likes big athletic offensive linemen that are agile, as does Coach Brad Davis. So I think that's what you're going to see as the offensive line gets bigger, faster, and stronger throughout the year, and I think they will get stronger, Demetrius, as the year progresses on with the massive weight and endurance that they're going to be able to, and have put on under strength coach Jamel Walker. I think he's done a great job, and not a lot of people in the state really are starting to take notice of the weight gains, not only with the offensive line with Demetrius, but with particular guys like a Traylon Burks.
I just think these guys are going to be better suited and built for the SEC. I think I can just think back that year that Brett Bielema didn't want to tackle in the offseason, and you saw the physicality, the drop in physicality from not tackling to not wanting guys to fall down. So I think now you're going to see an upsurge in the physicality in the type of play that you see from Arkansas players that we haven't seen in a while. I think you were talking earlier, mentioned about what you saw those guys working out and just the drills that they were doing. You hadn't seen these guys, and you've seen a lot of Arkansas football over the years. So for you to come out and say these guys have done some things that I've never seen shows me that Sam Pittman understands football and he knows what it takes to get these guys physically prepared for the SEC.
And when you look at it, you go back to that year in 2015 and 13, 14, and 15. Arkansas was the more physical team at the line of scrimmage, and when Coach Pittman moved on to Georgia, you just felt like not only did you feel it in the building, but throughout the state, it just seemed like how Superman, if you put kryptonite on his neck, he just isn't strong enough. It just seemed like that's what it was when Coach Pittman left. The brand of how you saw Arkansas football being physical, tough, run, and just get after you. That all left, and you can kind of feel with Coach Pittman and the staff that he's put together, that brand and that, the sense coming back of we're going to punch you in the face. It's going to be a physical 4 quarters, and I think that's what Arkansas football, from the time growing up watching and being able to cover it, that's what they've hung their hat on, is being gritty, tough, and physical, and that's the direction that I see this program going under Coach Pitt and those guys.
Absolutely. I think you always say you got to be good up the middle in the offensive line, and defensive line is the first line of defense and offense. So I think once Sam Pittman left, you did lose your identity, because at that time, the bread and butter was we had the Hogs up front. And I think now you're going to see a resurgence of the, kind of that identity. But now I think the thing that we have is we have a more diverse group of guys that can make plays in the open field. When you look at guys like Mike Woods, guys like Traylon Burks, guys like Trey Knox, TJ Hammonds, there's a multitude of guys that can really come in and aid to not only having a physical offensive line, but just having the skill position to do something after in the open field.
Well, we're going to go talk to a guy here coming up on our Hall Guy segment that does a lot on the defensive side in the open field. And Coach Sam Pittman in that defensive side, Barry Odom and Sam Carter, they hope that in 2 years he'll be one to say woo peak suey. As we're going to bring on Rylan Gandy out of Beaufort, Georgia. Time to get it going. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
The young talent, do they have to contribute? They better. They're half the team, So just watching year two for some of the coaches and seeing if they can improve as much as they did a season ago.
You're very familiar with the Georgia Bulldogs. Jake Fromm, just in his first 2 years as starting quarterback there at Georgia, has accomplished quite a bit going into his junior year. This is a Georgia team that I feel I'm going to pick to win the SEC. I think they're that close. What must Georgia do to get over that hump versus Alabama in that last game of the year?
They were on top of the hump 2 years in a row, and they fell off it. So they gotta not fall off in the second half of that hump. They're there. They're close. I think they've got the best offensive line in the conference, if not the country. Jake's a proven leader. I'm a little concerned if he doesn't stay healthy where they're going to go now that Justin Fields transferred and everything. So, that's the same with almost – there's not a lot of quarterback situations in the league where you can just go, the second guy's good. We don't have the Alabama thing anyway with Jalen and Tua. But if Georgia stays healthy, they've got work to do with their receiving core. But I spent some time with Jake Fromm a few weeks ago at the Manning passing camp, and he's not concerned about his receiving core. The young guys and the transfers that are coming in, he thinks are going to be special. So the schedule sets up for them pretty well. It's just they can't have that one slip off. I always say about Kirby, don't fake any more punts or any more extra points or field goals or anything like that. They'll be okay. He doesn't like my coaching input.
Welcome back. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio as we continue our Hall Guys segment. As Coach Sam Pittman and his staff, they've really hit the ground running, recruiting, and trying to put a brand out there that he will think when they think football, think Arkansas Razorback football. So they made their way down to Beaufort, Georgia for my guy, Rylan Gandy, RG. Welcome to OTH.
Thank you for having me.
Rylan, Arkansas comes out with an offer just less than 24 hours ago from Sam Carter and that defensive staff. Talk about that, what it meant to get that offer from a Power 5 school in the SEC, and who are some of the other programs, Rylan, that you're hearing from heading into your junior season?
Well, getting this offer, it really did mean a lot because it sort of came out the blue. I wasn't really expecting it at all, and so when I got it, I was just really excited to, have the opportunity to play at such a prestigious school like Arkansas, and having the coach want me to come up there and to play for them, that means a lot. And like other schools that are interested in me would be like teams like North Carolina, Penn State, Kentucky, Nebraska, Indiana, Southern Cal, and Colorado.
I've asked a lot of young men that's come on and done segments with me. The fact that Coach Sam Carter being the position coach that offered you your scholarship and going to be the prime recruiter over the next 2 years, that's going to be the builder of the relationship. The fact that he would be the main guy in your development if you do choose Arkansas, when it's the position coach, Rylan, that means just a little bit more, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. It makes the bond stronger. You always want your position coach to be the one that targets you and the one that gives you the offers. Like it's cool if a defensive line coach offers you and all that. But it just means a little bit more when it's your position coach who recognizes you and realizes the talent you have, and he's the one that wants to come get you.
Now, You all, as a sophomore, were thrown into a starting role there at Buford, a very prestigious high school football program, and you guys play some of the top talent week in and week out. With that experience, having to be thrown to the wolves so early and not have that preparation time, Rylan, how do you think that that's going to help you heading into your junior and senior year, and even more so when you make that jump to the Power 5 level?
Yeah, well, we're playing the competition we play. It helped out a lot because when I first started playing, my first game of varsity, I was just thrown out there really, and so it was kind of iffy for me if I would be able to do it. But after a while, when the season went on and I continued, I realized I started to gain confidence in myself, and I knew that I was able to play this game and I was able to play it at a top level, and so. We're playing the teams that we play and playing with the teams that we're supposed to play this year. Like, two teams from out of South Carolina, and one of them won state, another one lost in the semifinals. And I know both of those teams are really good. They have good players on their side. And if we're able to play them, I look forward to playing those type of teams because I just like competition in general. I just always want to be out there and show that I'm one of the best players on the field.
When you look at this Arkansas staff, I know Coach Carter, your lead recruiter, but Coach Pittman, a former offensive line coach at UGA, and Coach Jimmy Smith, well-known high school coach there at Cedar Grove, went up to Georgia State. Talk about the relationship that you've had with those two guys, and the feeling you've got when you've been around Coach Pittman and either Coach Jimmy Smith.
Well, with the relationship with them, it's like it's real good. And with them it's just knowing that they, with the coach that went to Cedar Grove, he went up to Georgia State. He's doing his thing up there, and so it's just real good to know them and know that they're succeeding.
Now, Rylan, Arkansas with that 2022 class in that particular area is making a big time push to get some of the elite. We talk about Mumu Ben Wahad, Tyrion Williams, and those type of players. You know those guys quite a bit. Talk about just the feel that you got that you would get knowing that if you did choose Arkansas, that you possibly would be playing with players that you're really familiar with. Would that be more of a comfort to you?
Yeah, well, when it comes to making a decision, you don't want to, some decisions you make, it will be most likely with a friend. Like, you always want to go to school, and you want to go to school with someone that or maybe a bond that you make through a recruiting trip. And, you and the other guy, y'all have conversations about where y'all want to go to school. And it just gives you more comfort to know that, okay, I always have this person to have my back. If I'm having a rough day or something, I always have this person to lift me up, and you just don't feel alone.
When you sat down with your defensive staff there at Buford, your D-backs coach and the defensive coordinator, following your sophomore year, Rylan, what was it that you felt good about it? And what have you been? What were those notes, and you've been in the lab trying to improve on so that you can have a better junior season?
One of the things I really wanted to get better at this year was getting interceptions. I know that most interceptions come off of when you're in zone coverage, but we don't really play zone coverage like that. So a lot of things I work on is in man, and so I want to make sure that I can get in and out my breaks fast enough so I can break on the ball and go get a pick. Because this year I want at least 3 to 5 interceptions this year alone. So I just want to make sure that I get better in the interception category. Because I'm able to make the plays on the ball. I just want to be able to make that catch and maybe take it to the house or stick.
There at Buford High School, you guys get a chance as underclassmen to watch guys come through, as it's one of the more heavily recruited high school programs in the state of Georgia. With that being said, Rylan, how would the experience of watching players that come before you, how can you best use that? So, because you're gonna have to make a decision here in 2 years yourself. How does that help prepare you for that big decision?
Can you repeat that?
Being able to watch, guys come before you at Buford in their recruiting process, how does that help prepare you for when you make the decision here 2 years very soon?
Yeah, well, with those guys, I grew up, when I first came in my freshman year, we had a running back called Darian Brown. He went to Texas. We had literally our starting O-line, all of them went to Power 5 schools. Some people in our secondary, they went to Power 5 schools. So it's been and then of course people before them, it's been a long line of talent of just coming out of that one school alone and out of Duke alone. And so with that, I know I have to make my decision sooner than later. And I just want to make sure that I do the things that they did. Like, they took their time, they evaluated all the teams, and they talked to the coaches. They did everything that they had to do. And at the end of the day, they made the right decision for them and how they felt. And I just want to do the same.
I come to Buford High School, got my popcorn and my soda pop. Balls kicked off. What type of football player am I going to see for 4 quarters in Ryland Gandy?
One that competes. Maybe a little bit of talking here and there, but
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to talk with your DB. You got to do that.
always. But just making plays all over the field, whether it is knocking the pass down or getting that interception, of course, offense side of the ball, catching the ball, making someone miss, taking it to six. It's just all around excitement for the whole game.
RG, who are some of the collegiate or NFL guys in the secondary that you like to pay attention to?
Well, for cornerback specifically, I like to pay attention to Derek Stingley. He's a young rookie or young freshman or about to be a sophomore at LSU. He really took the country by surprise last year.
Right.
And he did really well, so that's one person I'll always look at. Jeff Okuda, who just got drafted by the Lions. I saw last year how he really dominated the field at Ohio State and all the things he did. And then in the NFL, I look up to people like Jamal Adams, or not Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams, Jalen Ramsey, and Patrick Peterson, because they're all playmakers at their respective teams, and they all every year show up and show out every game.
Now, to everybody know, we're talking with Ryland Gandy, 2022 defensive back, high priority for Coach Sam Carter, Barry Odom, and Coach Sam Pittman here at the University of Arkansas. He's out of Buford, Georgia, Buford High School. You and me, my man, it's time to have a little fun, bud. Riding around Buford. What's the first 5 songs on the playlist, RG?
We Paid by Lil Baby and with 42 Doug. The Bigger Picture by Lil Baby. What Happened by Lil Soldier. Go In by Lil TJ, and Don't Believe the Hype by Polo G.
I'm with that. Now, next question. Everybody has their favorite meal that they like to eat. I was one of those. I had to have a root beer float, hamburger, no onions, no cheese, things of that nature night before the game. RG, what's your meal before the game on Thursday night? What does Ryland have to eat?
I usually like to eat pasta, like fettuccine Alfredo.
Oh, I'm having a pregame meal with you one day, man. That sounds real good. But I got last question, and Ryland, if you'll finish this for me. And once again, thanks for taking time out with us here on the Hill. But when football is done with, for Ryland Gandy, Buford, Georgia, Buford High School, he's went on and played Power 5 football. Hopefully realized his dream of playing in the NFL. The air's out of the football, helmet, shoulder pads, shoes, pants, all locked up in the locker. What's life going to be like after football for Ryland Gandy of Buford, Georgia, Buford High School?
Well, when I go off to school, I plan on majoring in broadcasting, and so once football is all over with, I plan on being able to just take that step into the booth and being able to commentate. I don't know what I want to do exactly in broadcasting. Maybe it's play-by-play, or maybe it's like being on SportsCenter or something like that. But being a broadcaster for sure has always for sure been like the top thing I wanted to do ever since.
Excuse me, Demon. Did you say we had some internships at this guy? But we're not tampering at all, Ryland. We're not going to tamper with the situation, but we do have some internships. I think that's what Demetrius was saying. So if you're at Arkansas, you can always come down and we'll give you an internship. Matter of fact, we'll let you do play-by-play. How about that?
It sounds good.
But I'm not tampering, my man, not at all. But hey, you have a great junior season, brother. Our line is your line, our show is your show, and we're gonna do some Ryland Gandy updates if you guys are blessed and we can have this high school football season. You up for that, my man?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ryland. Thanks for taking time out here today, and you be blessed.
Thank you for having me.
That was 2022 defensive back Ryland Gandy out of Buford Georgia Buford High School. Man, there's a lot of talent in that state, Demetrius, and I understand why Coach Pittman, Coach Fountain, Coach LeBlanc, I understand Coach Carter, why Coach Rhodes, I see why they're making the state of Georgia such a high priority for this program. Just a lot of peaches down there, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm just so impressed by the way this next up and coming generation plays football. It's just a different style of athleticism. You know, you're seeing 10th graders be able to come out and run 4.4s, and
Yes.
there's been a couple of guys.
The food.
I don't know. I'm doing
Like
air
water.
quotes. I'm doing air quotes. There's a couple of guys that have ran 4.1s and 4.2s. That used to be rare, and now
Yes.
you're seeing it start to become almost a normality amongst these type of athletes. But I'm just impressed, and I'm glad that we have a coach like Sam Pittman that can really appeal to these type of kids. He can really relate. He really has the resume. He really has the experience to go in these young men's house and really speak to them and sell the University of Arkansas and all that it has to offer.
Well, I know another guy they're trying to sell the University of Arkansas to, and he's residing in Frisco, Texas. Well, we're going to make our way down there and talk to 2022 offensive line prospect Cole Hudson. The Big Fellow's about to take the stage. It's on the Hill, and it's our Wednesday edition on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, let's give a shout out to those people that make this possible. Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, they're located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one we always talk about, KDK's Chicken down at 989 South Razorback Road. Let's see Keith and Kathy get some of that love. And they said on the building, it's not your mama's. I say it's the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken down at 989 Razorback Road. And now on to our next guest. Sam Pittman, Brad Davis, those guys just seem to get it. They get it on the offensive line, and because it just means more, and they hope that this guy that I'm about to bring on all the way from Frisco, Texas in the 2022 class, he might feel the same way. Cole Hudson. Cole, welcome to OTH, my man.
I'm excited. Thank you, Mr. Jenks, for having me.
Cole, let's get off into the recruiting process for you, big fella. Arkansas, just a little over about a week or so ago, came out and extended from Coach Brad Davis the Arkansas offer. Talk about that conversation and, the relationship that you and that staff is starting to build in Fayetteville.
I'm really excited to get to know Coach Davis and Coach Pittman. I was on the phone with Coach Davis for about 30 minutes to an hour, and we talked all about football, and not even football half the time. It was about kind of me as a person and Coach Davis as a pertinent person and what they're trying to build there at Arkansas. And I truly think that they're trying to build something special in the classes to come.
Texas high school football, when you think of that, you're always going to have those special offensive linemen, Cole. You've had a chance to be an understudy to two or a couple of guys. Jack comes to mind, and just several years ago was the top center in the country. What is it about that high school that just breeds really good offensive linemen year in and year out there at Frisco?
For us, it's our culture. A few of our coaches, Coach Epstein and Coach Harbor, they kind of build a culture around us that kind of push us to make everyone better. And by doing that, we can excel our game, not only on the football field, but in the classroom too. They focus about academics too. They focus on about being a good person, and later in life, how it will become without pads, and you have to excel in your own, and you have to go find a real job. And they're teaching us real life skills, and not only with that, it just teaches us how to be one pretty nasty person on the football field.
Cole, let's go back to Arkansas a little bit. When you look at that situation, having Coach Pittman, former offensive line coach there at the University of Georgia, now head coach at the University of Arkansas, he and Brad Davis really spearheading your recruiting. You had a chance to sit and watch this past draft, and to be able to watch the first two guys off that very talented Georgia program be two of Coach Pittman's guys. How advantageous would that be that if you do choose Arkansas, to know that Pittman and Davis would be guys that you could really, really develop under?
It's great because it's a proven fact that he's put people in the NFL and that he can do it, and he's done it before. So if I go there and he can just excel my game just to the next level, to where I'm better than everyone else, then I truly believe that I could go play in the NFL, and I have guys that would care about me, making me a better person and a better person on the football field.
When you went in that film room, big fella, and you sat down with your offensive line coach and that offensive staff, what was it following your sophomore year that Cole Hudson felt really good about it? And what were the notes that you made, big fella, that you've been on here in the offseason working on so that you might have an even better junior season?
Well, as a team, we all need to work on kind of passing. Our offense is the wing T, so we run a lot. And with one of our guys, Chase Lowry, that committed to Arkansas just recently, we know he can attack the football at any time. We know we can throw to him. And so this year we're going to try to work on the passing a little bit more. But after that, after the season, I thought we did a very good job on the run game. It was probably one of the best years by far that Frisco has had in the past decades.
Right. Now, who are some of the NFL or collegiate linemen that you like to watch, Cole?
Some of my guys I like to watch are Jack Anderson and Dawson Deaton. They both came from my high school, Frisco, Texas, and now they're both playing at Texas Tech.
Now, any in-state pressure, my man? I know with those two guys at Texas Tech, you're right there in that hotbed of recruiting where a lot of football players are sought after. But do you feel any pressure to stay in the in-state schools, or when that time comes, you're just going to make the best decision for Cole Hudson?
I think when the time comes later in the future, I'm going to make the best decision for me and my family.
Now, I'm there at Frisco, my man. Give it to me, big fella. The football is kicked off. I got my popcorn and my soda pop. What type of football player will I have seen when the game is over for 4 quarters in Cole Hudson?
You would have seen an amazing game by Cole Hudson. You would have seen a very physical, tenacious fight between me and everyone else on the other side of the football field. And so I would have walked out with a chip on my shoulder, knowing that I was the best player on the field at the time.
I'm gonna say a word. Tell me what this is for you, Cole. Nasty. What does that mean for you?
That means going and getting after someone. No matter what it takes, you go and you beat them.
Talking with Cole Hudson. For those that have just tuned in to us here on the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, he's a 2022 major prospect on the offensive line for Coach Brad Davis, Kendall Browse, Coach Sam Pittman here at the University of Arkansas out of Frisco, Texas. But now let's have a little fun, big fella. We're riding around Frisco. Yeah, I got family in Carrollton, so it's just a hop, skip, and a flip for me to get over there and meet you. First 5 songs on the playlist, Cole. Give them to me.
Oh, I don't even know. It's tough for me. I like the 80s, and so. But if I'm going to play a game, I know I'm going to go beat them. I put on "Prospect" by Lil Baby.
Okay.
Put on "Commercial" by Lil Baby. I'm trying to think. I put on "Indeed" by Lil Baby. I also put on any Drake song will get me fired up. And so I like a little bit of rap before the game.
See, everybody thinks offensive linemen don't like to get turned, but I mean, that music is good for you guys. I mean, good for you guys too. Another question I'd like to ask you, Cole. Every football player, I played it. My producer played it. There's always this one particular meal that you have to have the night before the game. What's that meal for Cole Hudson?
Oh, that's a big bowl of pasta and meatballs, and I just devour that, and I sleep like a baby the next day.
I like that, Cole. You got my producer. When you said pasta and meatballs, he just lit up. I mean, like a Christmas tree, man. I mean, he just lit up. But last statement, Cole, and if you would just finish it for me. When football is done with, for Cole Hudson of Frisco, Texas, Frisco High School, he's played Power 5 football and went on and realized the dream of playing in the NFL. The airs out the football, Cole, pads, helmet, shoes are in the locker room. What's life going to be like after football for Cole Hudson of Frisco, Texas?
I'm definitely going to go get a job in the real world as a financial advisor or an accounting job, and I'm definitely going to start a family. Also, if I go to the NFL, I hopefully retire as a millionaire.
Ooh. Hey, I'm telling you, 3 years watching that film. I'm gonna have to call you the football version of Big Nasty, and I got to make sure everybody knows that we understand who Nasty is in Arkansas. But if Cole comes, Demetrius, he's gonna be the Big Nasty on the football field. We down with that?
Hey,
Cole?
I'll take it.
Hey, well, my man. Hey, this can't be the last time our show is your show. Our line is your line, and during the season, I'm gonna be calling Frisco High School. I got to talk to Chase, but I also got to get some Cole Hudson updates. You down with that?
Yes, sir. I'd love to talk to you.
All right, big fella. Have a blessed one. Good luck on that junior year. Congratulations on the offer, and I definitely look forward to talking with you very soon, Cole.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you so much for your time.
That was 2022 offensive line prospect. He's the 10th rated offensive tackle in the country as of today, Demetrius. The 10th rated. You realize I went through a list, and here just over the last few months in the 22 class, I think we've had 5 of the top 10 offensive tackles in that class, come on the show. Quite a few of the offensive guards, and just a lot of the top 100 to top 150 talent in that 22 class have all mentioned the University of Arkansas. You think they're starting to get that brand out there? And kind of what we say, that it could be a special 22 group?
Definitely. I think what Sam Pittman has done in the draft these last 3 or 4 years is special. He's one of a kind, and I think these younger guys understand that, because a lot of these guys that is going to the draft now, they grew up watching on TV, so they can relate to who these guys are. They kind of have an idea of what program they came from and the type of career that they have. So Sam Pittman just has to continue to do what he does, and I think he'll continue to get the future.
And it's just like I said, continuing. They're getting the brand out there. I agree with Demetrius, 100%. We're going to end today's segment because I don't have anything else to say. My man put it down. I don't have nothing else to say. He hit the gavel with that last statement, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the gavel, but before we do that, we're going to thank our guests for coming on. Rylan Gandy out of Beaufort, Georgia, a 2022 defensive back, had a lot to say, and we're going to be real interested to see how this goes. That guy can flat out play the game of football and would be a difference maker here in Fayetteville if he chooses to call Fayetteville his home. And then 2022 offensive tackle Cole Hudson out of Frisco, Texas, Frisco High School. Demetrius, Brad Davis, Sam Pittman on you. Hey, it is going to be hard, and we'll keep our eye on the big 2022 offensive tackle, Cole Hudson. Want to thank him for taking time out. Also want to give a shout out to the sponsors that make this possible each and every day from 1 to 2 p.m. here on KDSJ 479. Lindsay & Associates with an office location. It's in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. That's Locomotion. They're located below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one we talk about, KDK's Chicken. It's down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith, Kathy. Get some of that love they said on the building. It's not your mama's. We say it's the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 Razorback Road. And once again, for all our listeners, you viewers, the comments, continue to bring them. We're not done. Tomorrow, we will be having an interview segment with newly Arkansas Associate Head Basketball Coach David Patrick. He's going to be on OTH. Be sure to tune in. We'll give it to you the way we always do, real and uncut. It's been On the Hill with Pat Jenkins. And it's the Wednesday edition on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one. And Demetrius, what's those final words? Let's get it.